I really need to go to confession. Now, I know that immediately got Eva's attention, so she'll pay attention to the rest of the homily. You know, during the past few weeks of Pope Francis's term as the Bishop of Rome, he has been constantly preaching about the incredible mercy of God. And he says that this overwhelms any sinfulness that may be in us or in the world. Think about that. The ability for love to change the world. Now, I know this is a theme that I keep on coming back to. Did you get it yet? That theme of how abundantly generous is God's love for us, and the ability that that love has to change each and every one of us. In our first reading from the second book of Samuel, the prophet Nathan is confronting David. David, a man who's abundantly blessed, abundantly, given so many things, taken from being a shepherd, made king of Israel, anointed, victorious in battles, ruler over all things. He doesn't see anything. But when he's confronted with how much God has loved him in forgiving him, he then changes his life. Stop and think. Those of you who have fallen in love, hopefully every single person here has had the chance to fall in love. When you fell in love and realized that you were in love, didn't you want to change and be more for that person? Didn't you want to change and get rid of things in your life that might not be up to that person's standards or might not be up to what you wanted for that person? To borrow a line from the movie, you make me want to be a better man. Falling in love, doesn't that make you want to be a better person? The realization of how much God has fallen in love with us should make us want to be better. Should make us want to undergo that conversion and seek reconciliation with a God who so tremendously loves us. But I think the problem is there are two things we never think about, or at least we don't want to give a lot of thought to. One, to spend time reflecting on just how blessed we are. How much God genuinely loves us in the relationships in our life. The very fact that you and I are here this evening is the result of God's love for us. The fact that we may have someone sitting next to us is the result of God's love for us. All of these things are mirrors, reflections, images of the ways in which our God loves us. We stop and think about that. Do we allow it to call us to be a better person? Do we allow it to reach into the roots of our heart and transform our lives in such a way that, like David in the first reading, we throw ourselves on God's mercy and say, you love me so much. I want to change for you. I think the other thing we don't think about very often is, in fact, the ways in which we need to change. Oh yeah, we say, bless me, Father, for I have sinned, and yada, yada, yada. We go through our traditional list, and we are done. But what about getting at the roots of who we are? Our lack of appreciation for the people in our lives. Our lack of understanding for the ways in which you and I do or don't live out our baptismal reality. Interesting reflection from the retreat preacher last week. We were talking about he's a liturgist, and so you can tell liturgists are always pretty right on down the line. But we were talking about the sacrament of confirmation. And very often when we talk about the sacrament of confirmation, we say that confirmation is that time when we choose to live for Jesus Christ. And he said, no. There's nothing in the theology of the sacrament of confirmation that says that. That comes out of religious education. So the theology of the sacrament of confirmation is that the Spirit chooses us to be his for life. It's not a time when we choose, but when God chooses us to receive his Spirit. What are the ways in which God has chosen us? What are the ways in which God has reached out into our lives and touched us in deep and profound ways? Opened our hearts to being loved. Opened our hearts to being forgiven. Opened our hearts to receiving the compassion of others and calling upon our compassion for others. Do we spend any time thinking about that? Going deeper into the realities of our life. Deeper into the sacrament that we share. Deeper into the scriptures that we hear. Deeper into what it means to be a people whom God has loved so profoundly that he gave his life for us. We didn't choose God. God chose us, has reached out, has incorporated us into his life in baptism, has reached out, shared his life with us in Eucharist, has reached out and sealed his life in us in confirmation, and now overwhelms us with his merciful love every single day of our life. If that doesn't call us to transformation, I don't know what does.